Hello, I am JC Chan. This is my presentation on different career paths I am considering. The topics we'll be covering are 1. Computer science, then psychology, and the art disciplines. In each topic, we will discuss what to expect, how to communicate and participate in these individual discourse communities, and how these communities just differ in general. To begin, the first field we'll discuss is computer science. Since computer science is such a large field, it's pretty broad and has a lot of like different small goals inside of computer science. Like to list, some common goals are to innovate technology, innovate in engineering and business, entertainment's common, education, code, software, and many more I haven't listed as well. And the primary goal in each subdivision really is to solve complex problems that is faced in technology usually. And there's methods of communication in computer science, which often includes collaborative websites. Really, one of the main uh, focus points or in computer science is collaboration, and this is done often through online meetings and offices. Easy ways to participate in the computer science community, especially even if you are new to this field, are to attend conventions whenever it's possible. For example, a year ago, my prior computer science teacher had this opportunity he talked to me about going to some video game conference in Seattle. So these I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities where that can come to play. There's easier options too, like joining free coding websites. Two that I have personally joined and I've had discourse in with other computer science students are websites of Scratch and Unity. Usually, they're coding websites. And also, there's large social media communities as well. There's the genres that define the field of computer science are pseudocode, and the other genres include emails and reports, which serve many of the same purposes as pseudocode, such as like communication of a shared interest. And it's not necessarily only in a workplace. Like this, from the other communication methods can be applied. Special vocabulary that I've found in computer science are mainly bugs and debugs, which is just a problem in a code that makes it not work. Um, Functions and for loops, those are uh, strategies like to make code shorter, make it easier to understand. And then apps, CPU, RAM, and GPU, that's more on the engineering side of computer science and stuff to do with hardware and software. There are many levels to expertise in computer science, from all the possible routes one could take to acquire knowledge in this field, like routes like going to college and getting a degree, but self-learning is also pretty easy and popular in this field. Um, According to Michigan Tech University, skills that are required are to think analytically, logically, mathematically, and have knowledge in project management, since collaboration is such a big part of this field. And the four levels that I chose are the self-learners. So those are like a huge variety of skills like in that one. Beginners, college students or graduates, and experts. English 101 does transfer some of the skills to computer science pretty nicely. Um, like, for example, the skill of self-assessment and self-reflection to see ourselves as critical readers, writers, and learners. That I think immediately transfers into the study and works of computer science. Um, in addition, pre-write and revision are other skills emphasized in English 101 that transfers to computer science. Um, for example, in programming, self-assessment and self-reflection is like a must-have in completing any project. This is why so much of the process in writing code is taken up by pre-write and debugging, fixing the problems. The next discipline we will discuss is psychology. There, there are many fields in psychology similar to how there are many fields in, like subfields in computer science. Like, to name a few, there are subfields like experimental psychology, clinical psychology, which I think is most popular, behavioral psychology, and developmental psychology, and many more. Overall, psychology is a discipline that dives into the human mind, biology, and behavior. This reflects its common goals of critical thinking and trying to understand why people do the things they do, which is like the main goal of and trying to think that this field's trying to solve, and other things that happen like diseases. And the goal is also to just innovate and promote good events, prevent bad events. So I would say psychology's like main overall goal is to better human life. Methods of communication among psychologists often include online videos, social media, organizational meetings, and websites. Psychologists are commonly found in places like laboratories, hospitals, courtrooms, schools, and universities. And that's this information is from American Psychological Association. There are methods, I would say pretty easy methods to participating in psychology. Um, a large portion of experimental psychology requires uh, experiments, obviously, and those need volunteers and people to um, participate in them. And they nowadays have protocols to ensure safety, and they reveal enough information for valid consent. But there's also a lot of online, like surveys. That's a good way to participate. Um, and then another way you can participate is a lot of psychology is about research, and a lot of people post their findings on the internet. You could review and maybe you can talk to people about yours and others' findings or ideas. For genres that are commonly used in psychology, articles and websites are the most common in this field. Since psychology is usually a research-heavy career, professional journalism on results or interpretations make articles and websites very useful. So that's why journalism, articles, and studies are the most common genres that define this field. S- Special vocabulary for psychology that I've found are DSM, which is it's a huge book on phobias and disorders. Hypothesis theory are words relating to experimental psychology and experiments. And I think it goes beyond that. But, and then cognition, variable phobia is some others. The levels of expertise in psychology includes students, psychology graduates, professionals, and specialists and PhD holders. The skill in English 101 that I think transfers to psychology is the practice of collection, evaluation, synthesis, and application of research from diverse media sources to convey meaning to intended audiences. I think this applies to psychology by how research heavy this field is, and this skill will be one that you would use a lot in this field. And yet, English 101 teaches students how to evaluate sources with large amounts of information in them. The final field I'm discussing is art. Art is a major that focuses on creative expression. This can take form through so many ways, uh, like paper, a canvas, a wall, digitally, many more. All art, one of the common goals is being creative and innovating again and creating new theories and ways to express. Arts is a more community and collaborative based field than most. Uh, and social, I found that social media is a huge place for art, and that's where a lot of people go, and it's like really easy to find communities there. And there are also some divisions inside of art as well, like art history, animating, and traditional art. Art contests are also a way, in person and online. Ways to participate in art are museums, galleries, and libraries, I find are great places to connect. Um, and there are also easy ways to participate through online platforms such as uh, websites and classrooms, even. Since art is very culturally rich, it makes self-learning easier than other fields since there's so many resources and they're pretty popular. Genres that define the field of art are apps, online art posts or videos through social media, and even games. The special vocabulary in art that I've found are abstract, perspective, contrast, composition, and value. The levels of knowledge for art, I would say, are between the four beginners, intermediates, professionals, and masters. English does transfer to art through English 101's emphasis on creativity and one's voice and uh, unique voice. This translates well into art since these are necessary, since it's all about creativity and your own unique voice. It shouldn't. I mean, art is not supposed to be a manufactured process. It's supposed to be your voice, and English 101 does a good job at developing those skills. Here's my works cited. Thank you so much for your time for listening to my presentation.